Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a best of 3. Today in the bottom left, spawning as our red Protoss player. The man, the myth, the legend, the only toss in the round of 8 of the GSL. It is classic. And in the top right of the map, we have another man in the round of 8. It's the man, the myth and the legend, Dark. Soon to be going to the army. And as a result of that, we'll be seeing a lot more of him in the next few weeks, maybe even months. Because I've heard that he wants to, every ounce of tournament that he can play, anything that he can still squeeze out of his pre-military career, he wants to do. So he's been playing a lot of online tournaments, smaller cups, bigger cups. He's in fantastic shape. So this is the Korean Starcraft League that we're watching him in here versus Classic. Classic, like I said, the only Protoss player currently still in the GSL. So all the others have sadly fallen out. Lost against a powerful Terran. I think the current distribution was 5-1, 5 Terrans, 2 Zergs, 1 Protoss player. But I ain't complaining. Not yet, at least. Just wait till the semis and Classic loses. Oh boy. These Terrans are gonna have it, finally. For the first time in their life. One thing you should always take note of is that whenever Terrans are performing well, it's because they're currently just the best players in the world, It's only natural that Terrans are performing well. I mean, they've got Maru and Bion. Have you seen anyone quicker? Gumiho, brilliant, innovative builds. Like, is anyone smarter than that guy? I don't think so. TY has come back from the military, and although he's not in the GSL, Terrans will also use that in a balance argument. Say, oh, TY is back. Surely, he should be up there, right, guys? All the other Terrans agreeing. Huh? Most of these conversations do take place on the Battle.net forums, infested by desperate Terran players. Not sure if the Battle.net forums actually still exist. I feel like the Battle.net forums are a bit of a meme, like how Facebook is. I don't actually know anyone that still actively uses Facebook. Back in the day, it would be very back in the day, I used Facebook, and then less far back in the day, it would be like your older relatives. They're sending you messages and they figured out how to send GIFs or like knocking emojis, like thumbs up and wishing you a happy birthday, that type of stuff. But nowadays, I don't really know anyone that really actively uses Facebook. It's the same with the Battle.net forums. Back in the day, some people might go there ironically, it's having a blast here on the Battle.net forums. Just reading those threads, some nighttime literature. But that's not the case anymore. I'm going to have a look at the Battle.net forums after this game. That's for sure. That is what I'm going to do. All right. We have an Oracle on the way. A second gateway as well coming out here. It's this warp gate. What are we looking at here? Almost done. This is one hell of a wall, by the way. This is what we call a bad wall. Sorry for the heavy StarCraft lingo if you're new. But it's a bad wall. It doesn't function. Links can push through this. You're going to need another pylon here. This is just a diagonal wall. You need 2 of the hexes to actually overlap around the open hex. If you open the build order grid or the build grid, whatever it's called, you'll see what I mean. Still here, if links quickly right-click past this adapt, they'll squeeze through. I mean, not many people know this, but if you right-click 3 times with a group of links, they actually apply loop to themselves. They can squeeze through spots you wouldn't have imagined before, but 3 times. You click 4 times, they get rid of the loop, and 2 times, they haven't applied quite enough yet. It's a true story. I asked one of the StarCraft 2 devs, and if you zoom in on the highest graphics, you can see they get a little bit more slick as well. Very oily looking, these guys. Oh my god, this was a terrible drive-by. This actually was a terrible drive-by. It's like doing a drive-by and shooting in your own tire. So, ah! That's not quite what you want usually. Lost an Oracle, killed 3 drones, and the other Oracle honestly took so much damage that it will be useless for the rest of the game. Unless it's just going to be putting up stasis wards. Might as well be in the retirement home. Pretending that is useful. Putting up stasis wards everywhere around the map. Maybe Lynx will walk into it. Never happens. Did you know that a Link can walk in it and out of it? And it can trigger it. It's crazy. You don't actually have to stand in it. Like, you can trigger it without being caught as a Zergling. That's how fast Zerglings are. Once again, this is not me complaining. This is just me stating facts. If it sounds like I'm complaining, it's because maybe these facts upset you. Oh my god, this was a terrible shade, wasn't it? Oh. I don't think he intended to finish this shade. And I don't think it was a good shade either. He kills 1 drone, 5 links, and loses all of his presence on the map. Following this up with world's latest glaive build as well, so we're really in for a treat here. He's gonna hit with 14, 13 adapts at the 6-minute mark. So unless Dark fell asleep, this shouldn't do anything, but perhaps Dark has kind of fallen asleep here. He's not started producing any roaches yet. He's adding 5 overlords now, for whatever reason, and I think he might actually be in a little bit of trouble. 1 roach coming in, 9 links are out against 11 adepts. I have no clue how this happened. Classic finding a timing where usually there should be no timing at all. This is a very odd attack, and it is working. And it's not working because it's an odd attack. It's working because Dark just wasn't prepared for no real reason, honestly. He could have gotten the scouting information. If this would have hit at a regular timing, Dark would have been even more dead. Okay? I just want to get that out there. So this is not one of those cases where you look at this and you think to yourself, oh, this only worked because it was, you know, a weird attack. No, this worked because Dark had nothing prepared and didn't scout. So a good timing also would have killed him. This is very big. 19 workers here being killed. Oh, all defense here out of Dark. Does have 17 roaches now. Started drones again. He's like, oh, down 28 workers. Watch me macro out of this. I don't think this is possible. I actually believe this to be impossible. Legitimately impossible. Losing this many workers and not having any counterattack potential while having built 18 roaches, which is practically a useless unit in a maxed out scenario. Yikes. That is a hard yikes for me as Dark starts attacking his own hatchery. He's had enough of it. This queen's like, get out of this game, Dark. We don't want you here anymore. Next one we go. I want to survive. Dark's like, no. We're continuing to play. Starts melee upgrades. Okay, now you're actually losing me. So the reason why I say that, for people who start getting confused, is melee upgrades usually means you're going into Ravager Ling Bane. And Ravager Ling Bane requires very high eco to function, because you're always going to get inefficient trades. So seeing a melee upgrade here is really, really odd, honestly. The only real path to victory that I would have seen for Dark is perhaps camping into lurkers and then making some plays with that, but he believes he can do it with melee upgrades, and I've got to see this. Storm is gonna be out before Baneling Speed will be out. Hell, before a Baneling Nest is out. Stalker's now moving forward as well, just sniping individual Ravagers here. So you have continued kiting coming out of Classic. 3 Templar are being morphed in behind this. This +2 is over halfway done. +2 is going to be almost faster than +1 melee will be for Dark. Dark has managed to get back up to 67 workers, which is a pretty okay number. Okay, it's a number you can play with. You can build units. You can build a defensive army, perhaps. And this isn't really what I was afraid of. Like, I wasn't necessarily afraid of Dark dying within the next 5 minutes, because he still had a lot of roaches. Like, that's not the issue. The problem is that once Storm is out, once this fort base is set up with 8 gases, there is so many things that Classic can do, and none of these things are something that Dark has an answer for. At least I don't think he does. He's building 8 more Ravagers now, so just imagine the scenario in which Classic throws down 2 Stargates, a Fleet Beacon, and takes a 5th. Okay? Dark here is working with 6 gas and 69 workers. Doesn't even have a counter yet to this potentially maxed out army with +2. How is he ever going to get Corruptors or Vipers out? He doesn't even have a Baneling Nest yet. Like, this is... Classic is 3-4 steps ahead here. And I would love, behind this attack, to... Well, first of all, have a little bit of a prism, maybe a Zealot run by towards the top side, denying potential 5th bases, and just a Fleet Beacon. Fleet Beacon, 2nd Stargate. I mean, I also love this push out, shoot by any stretch of the imagination work. You're fighting against a Ling Ravager army. This is not actually a composition that has ever been played successfully. And, well, this fight actually is going surprisingly well for Dark. You can't be serious. What is this? He came from 2 sides, and storms were used on the Ravagers rather than on the Lynx. That means that Classic loses this fight, but not to worry. He's still ahead by a significant amount, but this was... I can't believe that fight went this well. It was a nice setup, but I think Classic was so sure he was going to win is that he shot the storms a bit too quick, used all of them up. Not enough Archons perhaps to catch these Lynx either. And now Baneling Speed is on the way in +2. And with +2 it's a different story. +2 definitely has a comeback mechanic, because if you kill 10, 20 workers with your +2 Banelings, all of a sudden the game can start looking real bad for TOS. TOS here only on 160 supply, does have a 5th base, is getting 4 more gates. Seems like perhaps the carrier route was the safer route, as all of the gas was being invested into these Ravagers. A good initial fighting army, but not so much of a late game transitionary army. Big blink forward. I'm not quite sure if I agree with that one though. So these Lynx are going to get us around. A couple of Ravagers will get taken out, but loads of Stalkers are falling. Storms are available, should not be used yet though. I think you want to be real careful with how you use those storms. We have a Prism out, and I think this Prism might be a little bit vital for Classic to move across the map. Not necessarily for reinforcements, but having a Prism out, forcing defensive units for your opponent on his own side of the map makes these attacks so much harder. Now we finally have those Stargates and the Fleet Beacon coming out. I like that move. There's also a lot of Banelings though. Look at this. This is a huge run by. There's 2 big run bys here coming in. First person of Classic sees this happening on the minimap. Is not responding, not in time at least. Tries to go for the splits here, but these guys, they do have +2. That means all of these probes are going to fall, and all of a sudden Classic is completely all in. 60 workers against 78. This is a ridiculous game. This is 42 workers have gone down, and now all that Dark needs to do is not die. If he survives, he wins. He's taken out his opponent's eco completely. I mean, that's 3 bases that lost all of their workers at once. I cannot believe what I am watching. What an odd call to play for, to go for melee here out of Dark. Seemingly a massive error, but completely pays off here as he takes out 60 workers. Now, the game is not over yet, because this is a 0-0 army. There's no Lynx, no Banes in here, and this is a +3 army with Storm. So, technically, Classic still has a way bigger army if he gets a couple of Storms, but even if just the Stalkers fight, he should be winning this. More Lynx are now flooding in. Don't forget, the income is heavily favoring Dark here. 2,500 against 1k. Do we have more storms? I think we might have 2 more available. Oh, we get a panic morph here. Blink forward, blink forward. Yep, there we go. Usually not a good move. This time I kind of find it okay. Drones are being pulled off the line as well. Ravagers not being broken quite yet. Stalker count surprisingly high at 24. But this is 5 roaches and 9 Ravagers. And with the drones in front, they're actually getting some real damage done as well. There is no extra money for backup warp. Instantly, it doesn't seem to be. Prism Micro has not been ideal so far, as another Stalker almost gets taken out. 9 drones have gone down, but that's nothing in comparison to the 62 drones that Dark killed earlier. Those are the real numbers. Now, income still heavily in favor of Dark. He's struggling though to spend it because he pulled all of his queens forward. Does not have the larva. Should probably just build a bunch of queens. I mean, he has 4 hatcheries remaining. If you can't spend your money, surely queens here are a decent answer. Gonna need them anyway. +1 has finished now for the range units, which is going to help out in these engagements. This is an absolutely crazy game so far. I cannot believe what we're watching. 5th base being rebuilt here at the same time. Probes now being restarted as well, as perhaps Classic says, hey, I did kill some workers. I still have 5 bases and 10 gases. What's the chance I can macro out of this? And honestly, there's no hive, so it's not like there's going to be some revolutionary tech on the map soon here for Dark. He has an army consisting of +1 units against +3. +1 air has already finished, and the air transition is ready to commence at any point. Although that 5 Nexi are capable of producing workers at a very high pace, especially given the fact that there's loads of Chrono Boost energy available. So getting up to 66 workers is going to be, honestly, the least of Classic's worries. Can he survive until that point? I think he can. He has plenty of storms as well. So this really is how far ahead Classic was in that early game. After that early game, I can't stress enough how crazy this game is. Classic lost 62 workers, counterattacked, killed 1 base and 9 workers, and now honestly has a pretty, I don't want to say a playable position, but perhaps it is a playable position. If he has the correct information, he's fighting against a poorly upgraded primitive army out of the Zerg player. Like, this is possible. Now, once again, a Baneling run by here is happening on the bottom side of the map. This cannon should save the fort. For now, storms are connecting as a bunch of Archons have gone down. I honestly think that 2-3 carriers here would make a world of a difference. A world of difference. Like, huge. Absolutely massive. I'm not sure if +1 armor provides the same benefit that even just one carrier would have. Just a single carrier would give so much here. 14 more workers are going down on the side of Classic, but he's built so many in the past few minutes that I think he can actually kind of afford this. Like, 67 works still against 60. Dark isn't droning up. Now sending in another Ling run by. These Lings don't have Adrenal Glands. They don't have any Carapace upgrades. That means that Zealots will be a very fair counter against them. 22 more Banes are being morphed here on the bottom side. This time I don't think Classic is going to be quite ready for that. Archon being morphed in. I think this army is actually set up incorrectly. You want more Archons on the bottom side against the Ling Bane. And just more Stalker, Zealot, Immortal, Storm on the top side against these Roaches. Because now you're bleeding out Archons against Roaches, which is exactly what you don't want. Lings here are trying to take care of these probes. 2 Banes are being split off as well. More Banes try to connect with units on the fort. Simultaneously though, here come the Roaches moving forward once again. Good. Ravager Biles are going to take out almost an Archon. An Immortal. Archon does get blasted here. This has been a masterclass on how to play when you're behind. It all started with that massive fight over here. That Ravager Ling... Yeah, just Ravager Ling. I was going to say Bane, but no. It was just Ravager Ling against Storm Stalker. I still can't believe how well that fight went. But even after that, he wasn't ahead. It required so much out of Dark to get back into the game, and Classic really dropped the ball on this one. That's the one thing we can say for certain. He's messed this up massively. He was in an almost unlosable position, I think. Can't believe Dark played melee here. That is such a ballsy call as well. He has such a good understanding of what he needs to do to win games that are practically unwinnable. So different from all the other Zergs when it comes to that. It feels like other Zergs rely heavily on their early game being very good. Dark relies on his early game being, well, honestly, dog crap. And then coming back into the mid game with some wild play. Here comes another, I don't know, a two-sided attack. I don't really see these types of attacks without any Banes. This is so odd to witness. The game feels fairly over at this point though, so perhaps it's just not going to matter too much. Adrenal's about to finish up as well. All of this was done of only 74 drones, by the way. 8 more probes do go down on the side of Classic. Stalkers are bleeding out. And any trade at this point is honestly a good trade for Dark. He has a 3k mineral income against a mere 1k. It's not a whole lot. First person here of Classic. He's trying to kill these Lings. I think he knows it's over as well right now. Like, has a nice compact 4-base setup, but it's not so great if you're 18 minutes into the game and your opponent is on 5 or 6 bases. 7 base on the way. +3 melee coming out. Adrenal finally finishing up. There's one saving grace here, and that might be Storm. Storm can make magic happen. All you need is 7-8 good Storms. There are 2 terrible Storms, hitting absolutely nothing. And yeah, Banes are just going to connect with this army, and that means that Classic will be turned into toast and Dark will be eating him. GG gets called. 1-0 in favor of Dark. Usually I kind of mentally zone out a little bit for the first minute. And I have the record button already. You know, already recording just in case something very interesting happens. I look at the minimap and I'm like, wait a second. This is actually kind of interesting. This is a freaking hatchery out here. Yeah. Hatch first. Into gas pool. Pulls 2 drones away as well. I think Classic is fairly unaware of this right now. Oh, he saw it with the Cybercore probe. When does he realize? When does he realize? When does he look on the minimap? Come on. Hello? Maybe this is a bug? Where we can see that he saw it, but in reality he didn't see it on the minimap still? Is that possible? He seems so calm for someone that's being proxy hatched, no? There's no way, but there's no way a player of Classic's... Okay, now he sees it. But that was just as the creep arrived as well, so it seems like a weird coincidence in a way. I'm not entirely sure if this is an observer bug or not. I can't actually tell you, and I'm very sorry for that. I think it might just be massive pro pool here. What is this for a response? Now, this I haven't quite seen before. This is a rare one. You usually do this if you have a zealot, but even then you just pull 5 or 6. I've never seen, what is it, 9? They legitimately put 9, 10 workers here. He's fighting these spines. Takes out a bunch of the links for starters. That was honestly not quite as great as Classic probably would have hoped. Now starts working on that Overlord, but probably should be caring a bit more about these spines that are about to set up shop right in his natural. Gateway is under attack. And this battery is toast. This battery being... It didn't damage his game, no? It's absolutely game. Just crawling back with buildings here, saying, hey, I want a safe space. I need a spot where I know that my probes can be free. So it's just kind of crawling back with those cannons, with those batteries, while the spine crawlers are, well, honestly, crawling forward into those cannons, into those batteries. There's still one in range. That is so frustrating here, as this sentry is never going to see the light of day. Another stalker goes down. Oh, that is big. Hello, can we pay attention? Need to target down that battery, not the cannon. Need to target down the battery here, not the cannon. Loses a spine for free for no real reason. Could have also unrooted the spine and just moved it towards the bottom side for a bit. No point attacking there into that battery. What a huge blunder out of Dark. Huge blunder out of Dark. That really lowers the DPS that he has in this setup. Now he's just trying to work on those buildings. We have more cannons coming in. All of them are being built in a clump. And look at what Dark sees. He's like, you look very clumpy. I'm gonna get a Baneling Nest. Gonna get a Baneling Nest. Get 6, 7, 8 Banes. Throw them in here. Don't forget, there is a sentry available. Cannons are being spread out behind this. Classic is well aware of as to what is kicking off. He knows how Dark likes to follow this up. Another cannon here in a very spread out position. Maybe we can even get a gateway over here for a bit of a wall. That would be something. Maybe he wants a pylon. No, it's a cyber core. He's rebuilding the cyber core. I'm not sure how much that actually protects this back cannon, but I guess they can't be busted at the same time anymore then. Double force fields will be available as well. We are going to need some backup pylons. Yeah, Classic. He knows what's up. He knows what's up. And here we go. Bane's moving forward. Link's trying to pass by. These cannons are absolutely safe. Into the main base he goes. Is there enough defense in the main? I don't know if that actually matters. Because he can just mine from the natural. Class says, okay, you want to go into the main? That's fine. I'll go into my natural. Aren't you just on one base, buddy? Don't you only have 16 workers while I'll have 24? Hey, Dark, listen to me. That's what Classic's saying. Listen to me, Dark. I have more money. I'm rich. And all you have is a hatchery outside of my base, not even at a mineral patch, which means you can't even start mining from there. You need to build a new hatch at home. And Dark says, no, I don't need to. I can just build more banelings and bust you again. Watch me do it. Watch me do it, you bad boy. Oh. Here come the Banes, here come the Links. Here comes no force field. Battery is going to get busted. As there's 3 more cannons currently active. There's 2 more spines that are around, but this battery is going to be a lifesaver for this forward cannon. Salad finishes up. 3 more Banes on the way. The spines now move forward. More batteries coming out as well. And a new sentry gets constructed. Second gateway. Providing something. But what that is, we don't know yet. At any point, a major tech structure could potentially just end this game. Robo or Stargate. I personally would have preferred a Stargate, but I completely understand the robotics facility as well. It's a little bit cheaper when it comes to gas, allowing you maybe for another quicker sentry. I'm loving this walling here coming out of Classic, as here comes the bust on that cannon. Cannon goes down, but so what? Classic still a rock star. The way that he defended this has been, honestly, given how bad the initial defense was, it has been pretty much perfect. This is a bait. I think this was a bait. He wanted to get surrounded here. He absolutely wanted to get surrounded here because there's so many batteries around. These tiny little busts don't really do anything. Dark needed to go for one massive bust, not these small busts. Look, Cannon isn't even taking any damage. Immortal now is being chronoed out as well. Once that Immortal pops, these spines are gone. They're gonzo. Done. Done, gone, done and dusted. Absolutely over. This series has been ridiculous. This is 2-0 for Classic. Theoretical 2-0. Classic looks back at the series and says, I won 2-0. And he's right. He's absolutely correct. Rallies out the Immortal on the... Well, on an interesting side at least, because it can't really do anything here. Do you take out the Pylon in this case? I think you have to, kind of. Like, you need that, you want that Immortal to have some value, right? You'd reckon that that's what you want. Nexus now is being rebuilt in the main base. Simultaneously, we have a hatchery coming out. WW! Classic wins the game, 25 orcs against 18. Dark pisses off out of the game. That means we're all tied here in this best of 3. There's very little players I like watching as much as Dark, honestly. He really provides very, very entertaining games. The funny thing to me is that he often plays overly aggressive in the early game, or does something odd in the early game. Like, he has his own little build orders, falls massively behind because his build orders, well, to be quite frank, often are, I'm not sure if terrible is the correct word, but they just seem a bit weird and not optimized. And then you'll see him play in the mid game. It's like, holy crap, like, this guy's on a different level, like, actually on a different level. Like, that first game, I'm just thinking back of, that was crazy. And then the last game, he can do anything, you know? He can literally do whatever he wants. Magnificent defense, so out of Classic. But kind of shows that the build is weak once there is a good response to it from a Protoss player, right? If anyone thinks that Proxy Hatch is actually overpowered, they look at this game and say, okay, this was the worst possible start for Classic imaginable, right? He didn't scout it in time. He was clueless. He pulled probes, didn't really achieve anything with it, so he lost a bunch of mining time there. His first battery was in range. Like, everything went freaking terrible for Classic. Like, everything went awful. But through correct decision making, proper SimCity, and just kind of a calm and collected response altogether, he managed to hold. And it was very, very nice to see. Like, his building position, it was absolutely A tier there in the moment. Now, of course, there was one major error in which Dark attacked into a super battery initially. I don't think he ever should have lost that third spine. I'm just trying to go over the game in my head a little bit, right? Ooh, what do we have here? This is the Classic special, actually. That's what this is. This is his mind game that he's been playing for months now, which makes you wonder whether this mind game should still be effective. But he'll open up with a delayed warp gate, and then play a Twilight build. Now, why is this so weird, or why am I mentioning this? Is because usually with a delayed Warp Gate, you end up playing Stargate. Because if you're playing a Glaive Adept build order, one of the things that limits the amount of Adepts is your Warp Gate timing. So your first Warp in often consists of 2 or 3 Adepts that is now delayed by 10 seconds, which means you'll have either a 10-second later attack, or you have 2 to 3 Adepts less, which obviously can be quite bad. So this is just something to keep in mind when we take a look at this build, is that, yes, this build is not hitting as hard as it usually does, but for the Zerg players, this often looks like something a bit different, more like a Stargate vibe. You know, they look at it and say, oh, is this a Stargate, or what is it exactly that you're doing? Open up with Adept, into Adept, and look at this. Blind Spores here coming out. The mind game is absolutely working. No Roach Warren yet. The way that Dark likes to defend against this particular build, by the way, against the Glaive Adept, is by getting 2 gases and a Roach Warren into a Ravager. So he'll be forced into a vastly different response than what he usually does. Now the Roach Warren comes down. I think Dark has sniffed it out. He's like, wait, where's the first Oracle, buddy? Hey, what are we... Oh no, what is this? An Immortal? This looks atrocious. What? I mean, this is first of all, this is hitting extremely weak. This entire build order, right? Like, let's just... A usual timing would be with 12 Adepts at 440. My man here is going to hit with 8 Adepts at 440. Barely. 436. Hey, this is a weak timing. Like, Queens and Lings can definitely stop that. I always say that up until 10 Adepts, I think Lings are actually an okay response to a build order like this. No gases being taken. That's a huge tell here for Dark. No gases, no third base. He sees no worker production on this Nexus as well, because I'm sure Dark is looking at that. He sees this like, well, you're going to give away all of your Glaive Adept for free as well at the same time. And you're not probing up. Is there anything I need to do here at all? Or can I just build units until the end of time? Personally, I believe he can just build units till the end of time. These Adepts go down. Resources lost is fairly even. That's usually good for the Zerg player. And now a Nexus comes down. This is an obvious fake, right? Like he can see that there's no workers in production. This looks okay. Now worker production starts and we have a third gas. This still just feels like it's going to be a follow-up attack, right? So one more. Oh my god. No, the Prism dies. The Prism dies. That is awful if you're going for an all-in behind this. That is actually terrible. Massive supply block though for Dark, which is also quite terrible. Because this is the timing where ideally he'd like to drone up just a little. Maybe go to 50 or 46, 47, 48. Just check what's kicking off on the other side of the map. Still only on 3 gases though here. Is Classic. Yes, he has more workers, but I don't think he can really achieve anything. Layers on the way already here. More extractors as well for Dark. It's getting more and more drones. And here comes the attack. It's going to hit very, very weak. 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, we have 2 Immortals and 14 Adepts. And that's it. That simply is it. It's not enough. I don't believe that this is enough. I don't buy it. I actually do not buy it. I don't think he can kill this. There's a Spine out. There's Spores that can zone out this Prism, which makes microing a lot harder. He wants to go into the main base with this probably and then drop somewhere. And that's not going to be possible. Spore gets targeted down. Nice splits here. Yes. Ravager gets blasted as well. Spine gets taken out. It's an interesting fight. You see how far these Lings stayed back until Dark knew that he had enough and then he jumps on top of it. Very interesting way of fighting here. Just letting the Queen's tank for as long as possible. And then once the Adept count has diminished a little bit, he says now it's the turn for the Ling. I still think he might have gone slightly too quick. Probably could have gotten one more wave of Biles in, which would have been great to have. But this was still such an efficient trade, such an efficient fight. Don't forget, Classic really has nothing behind this. Now he's getting a Robo Bay, but he doesn't have a Forge. We have a Spire coming out for Dark. I don't really know what it is that Classic can do here. I mean, these 2 Immortals in a Prism are cute, but cute doesn't cut it, my friend. Gonna get maybe a couple of worker kills. And honestly, Dark is fairly out of position. That is frustrating. Lings here moving in. The second robotics facility. This is such a tell as well. I hate when people build this at the third base. I mean, Dark is looking at that and saying, oh, interesting. Second robo. I bet it's not for chrono boosting Immortals, right? It's probably going to be for Colossi. Funnily enough, though, Classic also scouted the Spire and says, hey, one way I can kind of get back into this game is by building a crap ton of Phoenixes preemptively before your mutas are even out. Building the double Stargate definitely is going to help. Now, the situation might look very good for Classic. People look at the worker count for both players. Saying, oh, Classic is actually ahead. But these mutas, they're such a huge benefit right now. Or honestly, if they would have been unscouted, I think it would have been a game ender. Now that they've been scouted, Classic has an opportunity to maybe get back into the game. But he can't move across the map, which is a real issue. So that means that these worker counts right now are kind of irrelevant. Because at any point, Dark can drone up to basically 82, 78, 78 at least. Maybe 85, 86 even. Just go up to 5 bases, take 10 gases. If he wants to, right? He can also just go for a massive Muta Ling attack with a couple of Ravagers in there. But it wouldn't surprise me if he decides to play a little bit of Mass Muta. Yeah, it's going for Mass Muta. Corruptors now being added in as well. Is the larva count still good enough? There's 11 larva. That means that drones will be added as well, yeah. This looks good for Classic because he has everything ready. But in reality, these games always end up being very difficult to play from the Protoss side. And one of the key things that Protoss needs to do is get this fort base up. If you get the fort base up with cannons and batteries, you're fine. If you get it up without cannons and batteries, it's just going to get taken out. Don't really have an army that can fight out in the open against massive Ling Muta flocks, because then the Mutas will just ignore the Phoenixes while the Corruptors kind of shoot them away for a little bit. And without a battery, Phoenixes get completely blasted. They actually do get completely blasted. So here come the Corruptors up in front. Now we're seeing that rise in drone count as well. Extra gases. We have this bad boy already in place to get a hatchery. Supplies definitely favoring Dark. One battery gets sniped. That is big. That is really big. That's the battery I was talking about. You need that one with Phoenixes, especially against Corruptors. Stalker warp in right now. Ooh, nice little movement though. Coming out of Classic, who is not in position in the wall. That means that the Link stream in. Cannons, no battery though. Cannon is going to help a crap ton, like absolutely a crap ton. These types of run-bys often don't even feel so good for the Zerg because there's cannons in every mineral line, so split off links don't actually deal that much damage. We see these Phoenixes coming back home at the same time. Muta Corruptor trying to take out the port base. Almost feels like Classic is semi-stabilizing here. Phoenix is now coming back to defend. A couple of Mutas do go down. The Corruptor count is at 11 though against 6 Phoenixes. Do have any Impulse Crystals halfway done. I think some cannons would not be a luxury. I also think some more drones for Dark would not be a luxury, but he prefers holding down the Link key. Links, who by the way don't have any upgrades yet. They're still 0-0 Links. Prism gets sniped here as the Mutas continue fighting against the Disruptors. And now any Impulse finishing up, but Corruptor count is so high. It feels almost impossible for these Phoenixes to do anything. You need absolutely flawless micro, and even then, it's impossible really to fight into this. Stalkers on the ground need to help a little bit, but they will not quite help enough. Corruptors now taking out the Phoenixes while the Mutas absolutely ransack the natural together with the Lynx and the Roaches. Mutas kind of zoning out the ground army while the Corruptors zone away the Phoenixes. That's the way this should be played, my friends. That is the way it should be played. Pure Link, definitely the correct call. Why do I doubt sometimes? I don't know. More Mutas are now flying forward. 13 Corruptors against 5 Phoenixes. The Mutas joining in on the Phoenix hunt as well, and they're having an absolute blast. Yes, 1 or 2 Mutas might end up falling, but that's not the end of the world if you're an 8-gas. GG gets called, and this phenomenal series, which it really was, comes to an end. I'd like to thank the organizer of the Korean Starcraft League number 9. Check him out and Dave Testa, of course. On their Patreon, you can help sponsor the Korean Starcraft League. I believe they're getting about $3,000 a month right now to put up these beautiful tournaments. We've had some fantastic games, and they released the replay pack for free every single week, which is extremely kind of them, allowing me to cast all of these games. So go check that out as well. Thank all of you for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Adios.